When you've managed doubt and you jump with the intention to fly and you fail, be willing to fail. But don't fail and just fall. Because if you fail and just fall, all you're going to do from that point is collect evidence why you should never leap again. Oh no, the last time I leaped, this happened. But if you leap and you fall and you call it a failure, just be committed to do what I do. I fail more than most. Failure says so many things. Number one, failure says I took a leap. So first, congratulate yourself. We tend to only focus on what didn't work. So in my company, we always fell forward. That's our commitment. We're going to fail, guys, because we're playing big enough. And oh, by the way, the bigger you play, the more you fail, because you're doing more things. You're up to more things. I don't want to live a safe life. I want my life to be threaded with failures, because if it's threaded with failures, then it's threaded even more places where I played big. I took a leap. I risked. I took a chance on myself. Take a chance on yourself at the risk of failing. Just always be committed to fail forward, because when you fail forward, your failure has context.
Need motivation?
Watch the Top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because the thing that saved me as an entrepreneur was watching the stories of other successful entrepreneurs, and I learned from their advice, I learned from their motivation, and honestly, I have no idea where I would be if I didn't have those videos to inspire me. I still need them for myself today too, and I hope that they can inspire you as well. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Lisa Nichols, and my take on her top 10 rules of success. Enjoy.
A failing forward says, what are the 3 things I did right? And what are the 2 areas that I can improve upon? I didn't even do anything wrong. I just can improve upon the way I did it. Because even in every spool of breakdown, there's a thread of goodness. In a spool of breakdown, there's a thread of goodness. In a spool of a broken relationship, there's a thread of what was good. I choose to focus on what was good that I could make better, and how could I have made it better? So what are the 3 things we did right, or what are the 2 areas we can improve upon? Thomas Edison says, I didn't fail. I just found 10,000 ways to do it better. And then all of a sudden you got that thing called success. And success, oh, by the way, is relative. Failure is also relative. I am the woman I am today. My level of compassion, my level of being present with people. I'm present with people the way I'm present because of my failure to be present 10 years ago. Missing the moments when my son was 6, not remembering what his favorite toy was because I was so focused on the future, I wasn't in the now. But I'm so present now. I'm not perfect in it, but I'm so much more present now. People comment all the time, Lisa, you're so present when you're with us. Yeah, because I chose to fail forward. My gift today was born out of my failures of yesterday. So is it really a failure? Or is it a really wonderful lesson just wrapped in sandpaper?
Rule number 2 is love yourself first.
For so many years, I prioritized being a mom. I was a single mom. And for so many years, I prioritized building my business and becoming a successful entrepreneur. And then I decided to prioritize love and opening up for love, more love, long-term love. So let me break it down to you on how I prepared my heart, my mind, and my soul to attract love. Number 1, I had to learn how to fall madly in love with Lisa. Not just like Lisa, and not even just love Lisa, but to fall madly in love with Lisa with all of my imperfections, with all of my brilliance, with all of the parts of me that were still learning and growing, to really love it. So number 1 is love yourself first. That whoever comes into your life or whoever is already in your life, whatever is true for you, they have to get behind you when it comes to who loves you the most. Because you can't attract something that you don't feel you deserve. And if you're not loving you, loving all the imperfections that come with you, all of the brilliance that come with you, if you're not owning that love, then it's difficult for someone else to outlove you. Like I remember so many times I wanted love, but I realized I was wanting someone to love me the way I wasn't even loving myself yet. people will follow your example on how you love you. So when you love yourself, you'll be so juicy and so magnetic that your partner, whether they're your current partner or not, or your forthcoming partner, they will literally end up being the cherry on top of the cake. You are the cake. Your love for yourself is the cake. Everyone else's love for you, that's the icing on the cake and the cherry on the cake. But your love for you, that's the cake. And so number one, how do you turn up self-love? How do you demonstratively show yourself, I love me? Whether it's setting healthy boundaries, whether it's having me time, whether it's asking for what you need, want, and deserve, whether it's using your voice, whether it's being willing to be seen, or heck, all of the above.
Rule number 3 is get strategic.
So many times people step onto my campus and their life, and I'll say the word life, to them looks chaotic and out of order. And I get this question asked a lot. How do I bring order to the chaos in my life? First and foremost, we have to break down life. Because life really is a really big conversation, and looking at it in its totality could really be overwhelming, which is why most people don't ever start to do anything to resolve and to minimize or diminish the chaos or reduce the chaos. So let's first break down life, because life is made up of quadrants. So you have your health and your wellness. Identify where's the chaos there, because all of a sudden it becomes bite-sized and digestible. Your finances, where's the chaos there? What does it look like and what's creating it? Your relationship. Now in your relationships, that has 4 subcategories. So in your romantic relationship, is there chaos there? In your familial relationships, is there chaos there? In your colleague and work relationship, is there chaos there? And in your community relationships, neighbors, friends, is there chaos there? So first, before you can manage the chaos in your life, let's break it down so you can see it much more clearly than just my life is chaotic. That's a really big, overwhelming tsunami, right? So let's break it down so that's baby waves. And we can manage a wave or a speed bump much easier than we can manage a tsunami or a mountain. And then you want to look at spiritually. Is there chaos there? Is there a disconnect there between me and my prayer life, or me and my meditation life, or me and where I fellowship? So you want to take those areas and first break down and identify the chaos that exists. Number one, because it's already there, it exists, you can't outrun it, you can't outperform it, you can't get a new business card, you can't move to a new address, and all of a sudden it's not there. So just identify, being willing to honestly admit to yourself and have acceptance in the areas called chaos and chaos in my life.
Rule number 4 is don't fear rejection.
A long time ago, I heard from a mentor, you only want to play with people who want to play with you. And I didn't even understand what he was setting me up for. Like I thought, oh, of course I only want to play with people who want to play with me. And then years begin to happen and experiences. And I began to turn toward people and they turned away from me. And I had to constantly remind myself, I only want to play with people who want to play with me. And then I heard this statement, and not to get too spiritual on you, and I'm not religious and getting religious on you, but I heard this other statement from my grandmother. She said, baby, man's rejection is God's protection. And I didn't understand that when she said it until I got rejected enough. And I realized that I'm only hurting about the rejection because of my need to be approved, my need to be loved, my need to be validated, and my perceived idea of what could have happened with me and him or me and her had I not been rejected. When people choose to not choose you, there are 2 things happening. One, there's the opportunity for you to stand in your power and say, I woke up this morning and before anyone else had to like me, I had to like myself. Before I checked in with my coworkers, before I checked in on Facebook to see if I got any likes, the first and primary responsibility is for me to like me. And everything, I want to hear you saying everything in your house, in your office, in your car, everything else is bonus. So when you come from a place of I like, I love, I accept me, and I'm going to give the best version of me to you, and then you choose. And then my job is to be whole and complete, irregardless of your choice. That's number one. And number two, when you find people rejecting you or not accepting you, you have an opportunity to look at, and without any make wrong, it's real important to not make yourself feel better by making someone else wrong. We do that as a society so much. Always say, in order for the relationship to break up, we think there needs to be brain splatter on the ceiling. And that's just even a small tiff. There doesn't ever need to be brain splatter on the ceiling. If someone doesn't choose you, then it's their way of saying, this is not a fit. And we're just not mature enough or sociably adept enough or have enough communication skills to say, this doesn't fit. Your love style, your communication style, your way of being doesn't fit with me. And for us to be grown-ups, well, I guess the key word, grown-ups, and go, okay, when we move in ebb and flow more, like everyone's not gonna like me. As much as some people love this channel, some people are like, Lisa Nichols, bleh. And my job is to still stand powerfully in who I am, irregardless of those who love me or those who don't. That your life, the value of your work experience, the value of your life experience isn't contingent on how many people accept you. It's contingent on the value you are bringing to every environment you're in.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there. Rule number 5 is clear limiting beliefs.
Clearing any limiting beliefs about partnership. This is so important. Now, I'm talking about love, but know that love comes in the form of friendship as well. So I needed a healing around friendships as well. I stopped believing, and I had limiting beliefs around friendship, women friendship. And so this is partnership. This is love, but love can be expanded. This is really an important one. Oftentimes, we have limiting beliefs that cause us to intentionally or unintentionally close our hearts off to love. Whether it's a past relationship that went sour, and so your mind is saying relationships are dangerous, or whether it was a betrayal. Someone took your trust and betrayed it. So you say, I have trust issues. You know, you just diagnosed yourself with a condition and we call it trust issues. That's not necessarily a diagnosis. That's a choice. Maybe you subconsciously have a fear of losing your independence within a partnership. Or maybe you have a concern that you may pull back too much in your career, in your direction. That was mine. I thought if I fail too in love, it will distract me from the things that I'm building and the lifestyle that I'm navigating through creating for Jelani and I. I considered a relationship a distraction. I don't know. I mean, just give me some comments if that's you. Or I considered a relationship a threat to what I was building. Whatever the limiting belief is, what you're saying is you don't trust that you can navigate through having love or friendship or an expansion while you're navigating and creating this beautiful life that you have. And here's the reality. You are not who you were 10 years ago. You're not even who you were 5 years ago. You're expanded. You have more insight. You have more intellect. You have more wisdom. You have more patience. You have more consciousness. So whatever the limiting belief is, you get to start acknowledging that they're there. You don't have to fix them overnight. Like, I'm not expecting for you to finish this video and go, okay, download, limiting belief is done. Right now, it's just the awareness that is there. I remember realizing that I wanted love, but I also didn't want the distraction of love. I also didn't want the challenge or the risk of love. So what happens then is that I'm going to grab my shoe. The tongue in your mouth is going in one direction. I want love. But the tongue in your shoe is going in a different direction. I don't want what love might bring me. And so align the tongue in your mouth with the tongue in your shoe so that you can have amazing results.
Rule number 6 is acknowledge your pain.
When you're in a place where you're hurting and you acknowledge it, number 1 is acknowledge it. Don't try to run past the pain as if it doesn't exist. I understand rising above it. I understand producing when you have it, because you still have to go on. Life goes on. You still have work. You still have family. You still have school. You still have life. But don't try to run past the pain and act as if it doesn't exist. For so many years, I would act as if the pain didn't exist. Well, here's what I realized. Faking like it's not there doesn't make it go away. It just doesn't give it a space to live and then move on. I always say, if you're in pain, be in pain. Just don't take out real estate in pain. Don't take out a lease option buy in pain. Don't rent to own anything in pain. Don't reside in pain. Go, I'm in pain. Now, what do I need? The truth is powerful. I once heard someone say, I think I heard in the book, the truth will set you free, even if it's about pain. It doesn't mean you want the pain to grow. Now remember, energy does grow where energy goes. So if you're putting energy toward being in pain, then the pain is going to grow. That's in having conversation after conversation after conversation about what got you in pain. I say if you're going to talk about the pain, have a conversation after conversation after conversation about what you're doing to get out of the pain that you're in.
Rule number 7 is focus on micro goals.
When you recognize that you don't have to focus on the macro goal, that's the big, ginormous goal, because it takes too long to get there and you don't have enough milestones on the way identified, so you run out of gas, you run out of motivation. But when you set small goals, and let's say 5 small goals, they will get you to that one big goal. But in the meanwhile, you get to celebrate 5 times every time you hit what I like to call that micro goal.
Rule number 8 is become a great speaker.
There are many other techniques I have to teach you in the science of speaking that would help you. This is one of those cornerstones. So as I was saying, the top of the V, right, is the big U. So it's where you build your credibility. No shrinking here. If you're really, really humble and you're really reserved, this is sort of where it will become challenging for you. Some people, they really can go in their valley easy, right? Most of us. For some, it's difficult. For others, it's difficult to actually share the big U, your credibility. This is where you share your highlights. This is where you share your experiences, your accolades, your achievements, your credentials. And it can't seem like it's a bio, or a resume. So I graduated from, and I know you say it because you're going to take them into the valley. So you want to say, even though you want to kind of give a little clue that you're about to take them somewhere else, even though I have 7 bestsellers, and I've spoken and inspired over 86 million people. And I've been able to travel and be on every single continent that could be populated by man. Even though I've generated over $80 million in business in the self-training and self-development industry in my company over the last 27 years. Even though that's who I am, you see how I just gave you the credentials inside of a even though. Or you can say, what you may or may not know about me, is that I'm a best-selling author times 7 books. What you may or may not know about me is that I have been featured on every major national platform. What you may or may not know about me is I have lost over $1 million and I've earned over 88 million. But what I'm sure you don't know about me is, notice how the big you say it in such a way where it leads into the valley. So it's not a bio. It's not spoken as if it's a bio. It's not spoken as if it is a resume. It's spoken as if it's a conversation that's about to lead into the valley. All of that I just share with you, and I just use my experience, my life as an example to give you. You do yours and don't compare yours to mine, right? Comparison, as Benjamin Franklin says, comparison is and will always be the thief of all your joy, right? Let's say if you have an MBA or you have a BA or you're in the academia, like I don't come from an academia background, but if you come from an academia background and you want to speak to your hours in learning, I wouldn't say what you may or may not know about me is that I have an MBA. I would say what most people are impressed about is that I've spent over 36,000 hours studying. Now, how do you get to that number? You calculate your years in college. You calculate your years in the work. I've spent over 5,000 hours behind a camera. Even though you have different backgrounds, you want to be able to find a way to capsulize that, right? Now, all of that's the big you. Now, at the base is your valley. So now where most people go wrong, who learn on my campus, is they think that the valley represents the lowest point of their entire life and all the low points put together. Let me just say this. The valley in and of itself, the whole valley is about an incident. So the big you is your life, but the low point is an incident. I'm doing this because that's the valley, the low part of the valley. The low part of the valley is a moment in time. It's one of the lowest points that's relevant to the topic that you're speaking on. So it's a topic relevant valley. Why do I say that? Because if you've lived long enough, hashtag anything over 10 years of age, you got valleys. You got multiple valleys. There's a valley when someone passed away. There's a valley when you were heartbroken. There's a valley when you were depressed. We got valleys. It's what makes the mountaintops feel good, is that we understand that life is like this, right? It's like, it just does that. That happens.
Rule number 9 is do the mirror exercise.
I recommend that you get in the mirror and do a mirror exercise, because when you're in pain, it's not about who got you there, nor is it about who all can get you out. First, it's about you recognizing where you are, and then 2, you being your own rescue. So the mirror exercise is always powerful. So I invite you to get in the mirror. And when you get in the mirror, I want you to do this exercise. I did this exercise every single day for 6 months straight. Now, you might not need to do it for 6 months, but I was suffering with post-traumatic stress disorder. I was diagnosed as clinically depressed. I was prescribed Prozac. I had to give myself something to help me develop my own belief in Lisa muscles, my own faith in myself muscle, my own I can get back up muscle. I needed something that can help me crawl to a walk and walk to a run and then run back to my soar. And so I did it every day for 6 months. I invite you to do it for at least 28 days if you find yourself navigating yourself back to joy, or you want to navigate yourself to your next level of joy. You don't have to be just in crisis to get benefit from this exercise. So get in the mirror, look at yourself just like I'm looking at you. Look at yourself. And I want you to see yourself as if you were your best friend and you're encouraging your best friend. Because if you look at yourself as if you were your best friend, then you're not gonna judge the lines in your face or the hair or the whatever it is we tend to judge ourselves for when we're looking in the mirror at ourselves. Just see love. Just see possibility. Just see all the things that you've come through. And then I want you to speak to yourself as if you were your best friend. Say your first name. I would say Lisa. Say your first name. And then complete these 3 sentences. The first sentence, say your name first. Lisa, I would say, Lisa, I'm proud that you. And find 7 different things to celebrate yourself for. And they could be small things. Lisa, I'm proud that you got out of bed this morning. I'm proud that you I'm proud that you prayed today. I'm proud that you went to work today. I'm proud that you set a healthy boundary in that relationship. I'm proud that you got out of the relationship. I'm proud that you said yes, even though you're afraid to leap about that new job. I'm proud that you got on the phone today with your mother. Whatever that small thing is that you can celebrate, they don't have to be big, huge things. Remember, celebrate the micro wins, and the micro wins become macro wins. 7 different things that you can be proud of.
And rule number 10, the last one before some very special bonus clips, is practice gratitude.
I bless and embrace all of my gifts, even the gifts that came wrapped in sandpaper. The gift of a job ending, the gift of a relationship ending, the gift of a hard moment, the gift of challenge, for they make me who I am today. And I love who I am today. When I'm under pressure, I am like coal. I turn to diamond. I bless and embrace all of my gifts, even the ones that came wrapped in sandpaper. I keep getting distracted by minor stuff that steals my time and energy and leads me off on tangents that aren't beneficial to me, my life, my vision, or my business. Lisa, how do you stay focused on your vision? Well, Anna, this took me a while to get, because if you are a creator, if you are an entrepreneur, if you are, if you are an artist, then it's natural for us to create. Now, the most challenging part of being the artist, whether you're an artist in makeup, you're an artist in hair, you're an artist in videography, you're an artist in transformation, you're an artist in content. An artist is an artist. And I didn't consider myself an artist for years because I don't do the dance or sing or makeup or hair. But I realized that I'm an artist of content. I'm an artist of transformation. So as an artist, and that's your technical skill set, it's easier to create and stay in that zone. That's the exciting part. New programs, new content, new approach. And the space that most of us get distracted on, and I don't get distracted in this area anymore, but I had to build this muscle. I used to always get distracted. Matter of fact, I was so distracted in my business and my vision that I didn't even think that it was my job to do the back end. Normally building the infrastructure, the stuff that we don't call exciting. Building your funnels, your campaigns, building your strategies, making sure your emails, all of the stuff that's the foundation of the business, but it's not the artistry. I always say there's 2 parts to you. You're an artist and you're a CEO. The artist will always get time because it's the creative time. It's the exciting time. The CEO, I haven't met anyone yet that says, oh my God, I wake up in the morning, I get so excited about doing my numbers. I get so excited about organizing my receipts. You just don't get that. So number 1, Anna, is to remember that there's 2 parts to running a business. There's your technical skill set, the artist, and then there's your CEO skill set. And you have to give both the right amount of time. And get this, your CEO time normally has to be double what your artist time is. So the thing that I spend the least amount of time doing in my business is being on stage and speaking. The other part, when you build a robust business, you're running the business, right? And so understand that. Understand first. So number 1, that the things that aren't exciting for you, the CEO stuff, you're going to want to get distracted. So number 1, challenge that and go, okay, Lisa told me this. That's why, because it's not in the technical skill set part. It's the foundational CEO part, which is not as fun, but even more necessary. I love to go back and share some of my favorite memories with you, my fondest. And what I realized, they're actually my most moving memories. One happened over 12 years ago. I was in Toronto, Canada with Margaret. And this gentleman walked up to me, standing about 6'2", Caucasian man in his mid-40s. And he looked at me and he goes, Lisa, I have a problem with you. I said, you do? And my heart started to beat. I'm like, oh my God, someone doesn't like me. What did I say wrong in their eyes? And how is this gonna play out? And he goes, I have a problem. I really have a problem. And I said, okay, how can I help you? He said, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God. I'm fine not believing in God. I'm comfortable. I prefer not to believe in God. I don't believe that there's a God. And I said, okay, what's your problem? He said, my problem is I love you. I love everything about you. I love the energy you come with. I love the way you speak. I love what I feel when I'm listening to you talk. He said, and you keep referring to this God as your source. And I don't believe in God. So that's my problem. And I said, sir, I'm sorry. I'm not sure where your problem lies. I said, if you don't believe in God, you have that right. If you love me, I'm excited because you can feel that I love you too. And he looked at me and he goes, so let me get this straight. This is not the part where you try to convert me or try to tell me how wrong I am, or you try to explain to me about your God so that I can begin to believe like you believe. This is not that part. You're not going to do that? And I looked up at him. I said, why would I do that? You're committed to whatever you believe in. My job is to honor your belief system. And he goes, see, you're doing that thing again that's making me love you more. That's my problem. But I know you believe in God. I said, that's not a problem. Why don't you keep believing in me and loving me? I'll keep believing in God and loving God, and we'll keep having this great experience. After I said that, he just grabbed me and he hugged me and he held me. And I knew somehow he was holding on to possibility. That's what I choose to tell myself. He was holding on to the love that he could feel from me, the palatable, non-judgmental, non-persecuting love. And in that moment, I couldn't feel more joy. As I held that man, I couldn't feel more joy. I couldn't feel more happiness, that this is what ministry is about. This is what touching souls is about, is to love the person who thinks that you might not love them because their belief system. It was just so beautiful. The moment was so beautiful. I mean, he held me and then he drew back and looked at me and he said, you're the real deal. And I looked up at him and I said, so are you. And we said our goodbyes. I never saw him again. Margaret and I went up to the room, our hotel room that night, and replaying what happened, we both just started to bawl, just cry. And I said to Margaret, Margaret, this is marketplace ministry disguised as a business. I'm not in the converting business. I don't need to convert anybody. You're exactly where you choose to be. But I am in the loving business. My job is to love you where you are. And that beautiful gentleman, that day, he reminded me and Margaret, I believe, what unconditional love could feel like. My life has been a culmination of a ton of relationships. And I'm a keeper, meaning if I meet you, I want to keep you, right? I want to keep you in my life. And one of the biggest lessons I had to learn was that relationships have evolution. And there's some relationships that are lifetime. No matter what you do, they're going to be a lifetime relationship. And then there's some relationships that are life-giving. They're going to be short. They'll be shorter, and some even short. But they're designed to let you know you're still in the game. They give you a critical piece of information, a critical piece of knowing. And it might not be a romantic relationship. It may be a friendship. It may be business. But it won't last forever. It won't even last a long time because it was designed to give you life. And then there's purposeful relationships. Relationships that are designed for a purpose. Whether the purpose is to help you grow up, to help you love, to help you learn, to help you set healthy boundaries. There's a purposeful relationship. And that purpose is real. And once that purpose is fulfilled, the relationship shifts. We often think either or. I can have this or that. I don't know where we learn that. I think it came from great, 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 great grandparents and just was a consistent. It was as consistent as our family reunions. It was as consistent as, cuddling up in a snuggly with some warm socks and watching a great movie during the holidays. We also have belief systems. I think one of the greatest blessings that I gave myself was the gift of no longer thinking either or in my relationships. I remember over 20 years ago when I was first introduced to transformation and personal mastery. And I remember stepping into an environment and no one looked like me. No one was my nationality, my culture. No one was even my gender. And no one was my age. So I felt like an alien. Yet I was excited about what I was learning. I wanted to learn more about this thing called quantum physics. I wanted to learn more about this thing called the law of attraction. I wanted to learn more about this thing called personal mastery, self-awareness. I didn't grow up with that. I grew up with pray, get on your knees, ask God, get up, eat a Sunday afternoon dinner. That's what I was raised with. And I remember wondering at the ripe age of 29, do I have to leave my existing community in order to adopt this new mindset? In order to run with this new tribe? Do I have to let my existing tribe go? And I would love to tell you that at 29, I had the awareness, oh, no, I can keep both. I didn't. I dug my heels deep into the learning. I dug my life deep into the evolution of my soul and my mind. And I can honestly say that the existing relationships that mattered so much to me, I just thought that they would stay there and that they would forever be there while I chose these new relationships in this new world. And I made a mistake. I didn't water the relationships. I didn't nurture them. I didn't feed them. And just like a flower, relationships require light and sun and love and nurturing. I'm grateful that I didn't lose all of my existing relationships. I'm grateful that I soon became aware that my existing relationships are not optional while I build new relationships. I realized very soon that my existing relationships with my family, that those relationships were anchoring. They kept Lisa's feet on the ground. Little did I know I would then be on Oprah and Larry King and Steve Harvey and Dr. Phil and would travel around the globe. Little did I know who I was becoming. And if I'd known who I was going to become, I really would have invested in those existing relationships because they keep me anchored. So I say all this to say, please don't choose either or. We live in an abundant universe. You want to design and with. How do I have both? How do I develop forward-pulling relationships with amazing people who are navigating and walking in the same direction as me while I stay anchored in my existing relationships that are non-negotiable? No matter where you go, you're still always someone's daughter. You're still always someone's niece, someone's son, someone's father, someone's brother, someone's sister. So make sure you nurture your existing relationships while developing future relationships. We don't live in either or. We live in and with. And I'll end with this. When you get to the end of your journey and you're 95, 100, 105, whatever age that is, where you're sitting in your favorite rocking chair, and you're telling the stories of your life to whomever will listen, you want to make sure that your relationships have a really great part in that story. I laughed hard. I played full out. I ate great food. And you want to make sure that you have all those things to do with the people that you love. So water your relationships, both new and existing. What if this year you made a commitment to blow your own mind? What if you made a commitment to do what you've never done before, say what you've never said before? What if you made a commitment to go to the edge and leap? And know you're either going to soar or you might fall, but even if you fall, you know how to get back up. I don't know. What happens? What happens? And so I just want to stop by to shake you up a bit. Stop by to find out who does the world get when you play really, really big? Who does the world get? Who does the world get when you say, hold on, hold on. I want to find out exactly who I can become. Hold on. I want to find out exactly who I can be. Hold on. Hold on. I want to see exactly what I want to do. I want to see exactly how I can play. Hold on. Hold on. The best part of me is still showing up. Hold on. The best part of me is still showing up. Hold on. There's more of me. I'm not done yet. Like, are you willing to give the world notice? I'm not done yet. No. I'm not done yet. I have so much more. I'm not done yet. And when that happens and the world sees you, I got a question for you. Are you ready to be seen? Are you ready to be seen, and are you willing to be seen? Are you willing to be seen in such a way that you say, wait a minute, I'm unapologetic. I'm unapologetic about who I am. I'm unapologetic. I'm unapologetic about what needs to happen in order for me to show the world who I am. I'm unapologetic. I'm just saying, is that possible? I'm reading it now. There's more for me. Yes. There's more for me. Yes. Type in chat, there's more for me. There's more for me. I'm ready and willing to be seen unapologetically. Unapologetically. I'm ready. I just stopped by. I don't know what your week looks like. I don't know what the last few days look like. I don't know what you're on your way to this weekend, but I stopped by to say you are enough. You showed up enough. It's time to press the gas and accelerate. It's time to press the gas and elevate, to inspire more, to serve you, to set healthy boundaries, to say bold yeses. There's going to be something that comes into your life, and it's going to require a bold yes. Not that shaky yes. Well, sorta. No. That yes. That heck yes. And it's going to require you to tell somebody, watch my fire, watch my game, watch my shine, watch me. So when you look at being your own rescue, what does that look like? Being your own rescue comes from so many different areas. I've always taught that we need to separate our life into categories and manage your whole life in categories. The health and wellness category. What does being your own rescue look like in health and wellness? For me, it was pretty radical. For me, it was all the way from not only getting more physically fit, but it was going to the doctor and asking for medical help. It was saying something's happening in my body and I don't know what. It was no longer ignoring what was happening. What does being your own rescue look like in your finances? For me, it was me writing myself a check the way I wrote SD&G and the way I wrote the electricity bill and the way I wrote my rent check way back 20 years ago. It was me writing a check to my dream and putting in the subject line, funding my dream. That was being my own rescue as well. What does being your own rescue look like in a relationship? Does it look like just speaking up and asking for what you need? Or does it look like telling someone, I love you more often? Or thank you more often? Or please accept my apology for not showing up for you? What does being your own rescue look like in the different categories? And then what does action look like to be that rescue? Because when you can be your own rescue, you actually are your own superhero. You actually are your own best friend. You actually become everything you need for you. And then you can serve everyone else from your overflow. I love it. I remember when I first heard the word pivot. A friend of mine wrote a book called Pivot. I was like, well, what does that mean? Like, can you write a whole book about pivoting? And I mean, just by the grace of God, he wrote the book right before the pandemic. I'm sure he had a divine download and didn't realize that the most major pivot of all times was coming. I didn't know what the word meant. I looked it up, and it meant to change directions. I had heard it before. I had an idea, but I wanted to understand everything about it, to change directions, to modify, to shift, to move when necessary. And in some definitions, I saw to be a change that was not expected, to change directions based on the environment, not the strategy. I've been pivoting for a long time. You may have been pivoting for a long time. But when you begin to pivot and you embrace it, see, pivoting isn't just turning in the other direction. It's making an intentional choice to change directions with power and grace and ease, along with uncertainty. See, most leaders like you and like myself, we don't like uncertainty. We want certainty and clarity. And with pivot comes a certain sense of trust, a certain sense of experiment, a certain sense of hold on to the strategy and then release what may come about, learn from it, and then pivot on the pivot. What I didn't see coming was the pivot to the pivot even, which means I changed directions and then I got to change again. Gladiators and change agents, we are used to planning at least 7 months out, 10 months out, 12 months out, some of us 36 months out. We're used to planning. A plan is necessary. But again, you may have heard me say in another video, keep your goal in mold. There is where we're going to get. But keep your plan in sand. The people who had the most rigidity to change and to pivot, the most disruption, or who did not pivot, were the people who kept their goal in mold and their plan in mold as well. You may not have known that your plan was so in cement that when time came to pivot, you resisted. Maybe, maybe not. But now you know that plan in sand is necessary. Goal in mold, we're going to get there. We may not get there in the same timeline that I had expected. Just kind of give me a yes in comments if that's you. I may not get there with the same team members or even the same life partner that I expected. I may not get there with the same numbers that I expected, but I will get there. That's called the goal in mold. The plan in sand says I might have to change directions. I might have to change partners. I might have to change strategy. I might have to change my timeline. I've had to change my timeline so many times. It doesn't stop me from creating one. It just reminds me, be fluid and flexible, grace and ease, intention and action. One of the things that I've had to constantly do is remind myself to breathe. And you know, we all know breath keeps us alive, but not just breathing to stay alive, but breathing to stay on top of our lives, breathing to stay in our center place. If you're watching this channel and enjoy these videos, then you probably need to breathe more. I'm not saying you're not breathing, but I'm saying, are we taking deep, soul cleansing breaths? You know, the kind of breath that keeps us calm, keeps us centered. I was recently at a retreat that I was producing, and the doctor there, Dr. Delicia Haynes, amazing doctor. She said, breathe into 4, hold for 4, 2, 3, 4, exhale to 4, 2, 3, 4, and then hold it out to 4, 2, 3, 4, into 4, hold for 4, exhale to 4, hold out to 4. What I've learned is that the body cannot feel stress at the same time that you're taking a deep cleansing breath. This past year of my life, and so many of our lives, we felt the need to take deep breaths more than ever. Did we take it? Will you give yourself the gift of breath? Really, it's beyond the gift of breath. It's the gift of calm. The gift of, in the midst of massive movement, to be centered and to have peace in your body. Our body is our tool. It gets us to where we want to go. You have dreams. You have desires. You have passions. And the only thing that can get you there is your body. Your thoughts alone won't get you there. Your intentions alone won't get you there. Your words alone won't get you there. The tool that's there for you, the instrument, the domain, the gift that each one of us have been given. I call him God, you call him whatever you choose. God gave us the gift of our body. Give your body the gift of breath. Let's do it again. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. And hold out, 2, 3, 4. Right now, I feel called to speak to where people are right now. Right now, we're navigating through unprecedented times. We're pivoting, and even our pivot requires a pivot. Our plans, our second plan is requiring a pivot. So when I had to sit in silence and understand and quiet the voices that were screaming in my soul, what's going on? Am I safe? Is my family safe? Is my son safe? Is my business okay? The only thing that brought me back to my center was breathing. Whenever you feel like trauma's going on, you hold your breath. And whenever you feel you're safe again or a sense of release, you breathe again. So I just want to invite you that as you navigate through these unique times, pressure times, possibility times, somewhere in between, give yourself the gift of deep cleansing breaths consistently. I say 5 times a day. Take the 4 in, hold 4, exhale 4, hold out 4. And if you ever heard me speak before, if you really want to go deep, then do it all to 5, the count of 5. A little more challenging, but definitely worth pursuing. It's so important to me that not only do we own our intentions, we own our voice, but that we own and hone our breath. Now, every show is not about a conversation. Some shows are about a being when you come to me. And you'll see in this season, I'm going to be about who are we being? How are we protecting our souls right now? Our thoughts right now? Our bodies right now? Our relationships right now? Our finances right now? Our spirituality right now? Now's the time for us to be inside of absolute intention, gratitude, possibility, and plans. Remember, this show is not just a monologue. This show is a dialogue. I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear what you feel about breath. How have you been breathing lately? Or what great reminder was this? What was the aha for you? Sometimes we think that we're breathing and we're breathing to live, and we're really just breathing to not pass out. And this may have been a reminder for you, like, oh, there's a deeper breath that I can take. Or you want to share with me that you've been doing this and it's made a big difference in your life. If you don't treat money right and you're not responsible with money, you will repel money because you're not a good steward of it. And so until I became a better steward of money, and I'm still growing in that area, and I would keep giving it away until it was all gone because my mindset said it all had to be gone. There's never going to be extra.
Yeah.
My grandmother would make 10 dimes go in 20 different directions. Who was I to have 20 dimes and only 10 directions needed?
Yes.
Right? Again, mindset. I have had the privilege of meeting entrepreneurs all over the world, different industries, different stages of their business. It's been amazing. Now, so often I'm in a conversation and I get asked questions that don't align with the stage of their business. I want to explain this to you. I wanted to talk to you today about showing up exactly where you are in your business. And let's just face it, as an entrepreneur, there isn't a step-by-step guide. As an entrepreneur, there isn't a pathway that's often laid out when you have this idea to either be a chef or be an artist or hairstylist or in the personal development industry as a speaker. So let me clarify. You should be thinking about where you want to be in a year, in 5 years, in 10 years. But if you only have a chance to ask one question today, then ask something that's going to put you into a forward moving motion right now, not 6 months from now, not 18 months from now. So often when I'm in open coaching sessions, people are asking me questions that don't apply to them and their business right now. They have big dreams, which you should, But your question for coaching and for direction should not be based on where you're going to be in 6 months or in 12 months. It should be based on where you are now, because it'll feel like the information is useless or even overwhelming to you. I've learned for years that my body was my temple. I learned that in church as a little girl. Didn't understand it then, but then I grew to understand what that meant. And I was an athlete, and I did so many things to strengthen my body. But I didn't understand or value my body. I was just going through the motions as a young girl would. I realized that my mindset and my mind had a direct relationship to my body. For 19 years, I was obese. Most people only saw me as overweight, but I was obese. No one knew the health hell that was happening behind every bestseller, behind every stage, behind the 6-figure, 7-figure numbers, behind the notoriety. See, I didn't understand how to balance my body and my mind. What I did understand was how to grind. Just type your name in chat, do a Yana Lisa, Yana, Y-A-N-A. You're not alone if you understand what I'm talking about. I knew how to grind. I knew how to hustle. I didn't know how to balance my body and my mind. I didn't know that that was such a thing. As a matter of fact, just truth be told, I didn't think the people that look like me even had conversations about balancing your body and your mind. I just knew we went to church, we prayed and gave it to God and got up and went back to the grind. That was my story, may not be yours. I didn't understand truly what it meant that my body was my temple until my temple came crashing down. I had 6 blood transfusions in 3 years while making bestseller number 1, bestseller number 2, bestseller number 3, bestseller number 4, while standing on stage and signing autographs and doing all those great things. I was also struggling with my body beyond belief. And it was my own personal health hell. I didn't even think I got to tell anyone about it. I was too embarrassed, too ashamed. See, I didn't understand balancing my body and my mind. I didn't understand that where my mind went, my lifestyle went. So my lifestyle was getting more beautiful every day, talking to big celebrities and going on national programs and traveling internationally, but my mind was still struggling. So I don't bring you this message from a mountaintop. And while I could have just jumped into the lesson that I want to teach you, I need you to know that I had to live out what it meant to not know the lesson for probably 21 years. And only about 7 years ago, believe it or not, I finally felt like being the victim to my body, to my circumstances in that area, was no longer acceptable. See, your body is your temple. Our body is our temple, and it's an instrument. It's an instrument, the machine. It's the physical embodiment that gets us to where we get to go. It's the container that carries us to our purpose. If there's a purpose placed on your life, your body is designed to get you there. Your body brings you into great relationships. Your body brings you into great service. Your body brings you into great experiences. Your body is the thing that allows you to have a dynamic exchange with someone. It took so long for me to get that. It took so long for me to value that. So many things have changed over the last 2 years. So many unexpecteds. So many trials, tribulations. Things have come into our space that we did not invite, we did not want, and yet we had to learn how to navigate.
And so I ask you, what did you have to let go when the pandemic started? What did you have to release when the pandemic started? Did you have to release a job? Did you have to release the way you looked at things, the way you went to work, your relationship? What did you have to release during the pandemic when it started that you didn't like doing in the first place, though? See, here's the deal. We've had to release so many things, but some of the things that we've had to release, we didn't even like it in the first place. And you might be considering going back to it because it's what you're used to doing. I got to tell you, a familiar discomfort, many times we become more committed to a familiar discomfort than we will be to an unfamiliar new possibility. I'll say that again. Many times we are more committed to a familiar discomfort than we are to an unfamiliar new possibility. Why? Because it's familiar. So I ask you, what limiting habits, beliefs, or environment, relationship, etc., that you're considering going back to that you didn't want to in the first place? You didn't want to do it. You were done with it. There were so many things that were beautiful in my life, but I was done with it. Even though it was beautiful for someone else. I traveled over 280 days out of the year for the last 10 years. Traveled first class, red carpet rolled out wherever I go. It was amazing. And the pandemic came and I had to stay at home and I had to go to work in my office at home in these. Oh, I tell you, I got them in every color now because what I'm clear on is that I want to travel the world. I want to inspire people all around the world, but I don't have to do it all on a plane and in a hotel and dealing with being alone. So I want to invite you. I want to invite you to say, I'm here and I say, no, I'm not going back to that thing that I didn't want in the first place. Or I wanted it at one time, but I outgrew it. Do you realize that there are some things that you were doing 10 years ago that you've outgrown now? There's some things you were doing 5 years ago that you've outgrown now. And if it doesn't feel good in this moment, it's probably because you've outgrown it. Give yourself permission to graduate. Matter of fact, I want you to throw yourself a graduation. You don't have to have a whole big shindig with the signs outside saying graduate here, but you can make yourself a cupcake. You can give someone notice. You can get a group in WhatsApp and say, I graduate myself. You can gather the family around the dining room table and say, I graduate myself. I graduate myself from having to cook 5 days a week. I graduate myself from being everyone's answer. I graduate myself from hustling and grinding more than I'm pouring into myself. I graduate myself from putting other people in front of me. Anybody know what I'm talking about? I'm just saying. My camera crew can raise their hand too. I mean, they're in the back. They're behind the camera raising their hand. I graduate myself from being worried about money all the time and putting my passion on the shelf. I graduate. I don't quite have the strategy for what's next, but first I have to graduate to remind myself that I'm beyond this moment. Remember, this show is not just a monologue. It's a dialogue. I'd love to hear from you. What are you ready to graduate yourself from? What are you saying? I ain't going back. I ain't going back. Listen, everyone keeps saying, I just want things to get back to the way they used to be. In some areas, no. Do a lot of things, but don't get back to the way it used to be. I want to get forward to the way that it can be. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect immediately. This is not a rah-rah or foo-foo conversation, but I am saying we get to create. We might as well create. All bets are off. All deals are off. Nothing's the same right now. This is the perfect season to create what you want.
I never named my task the task of what I was doing. I always named my task the outcome that it was creating, or my intention. Therefore, in the morning, when I did my prayer time, I called it welcoming God into my day. When I got Jelani dressed and he ate breakfast, I called it setting Jelani up for success. When I would work out each morning, I called it, yes, snatching my sexy back. When I checked my email, because that's where a lot of opportunities came in, I called it looking for money. When I cook with Jelani in the evening, I called it bonding with the chef. Everything was about the outcome. I didn't even know Jelani would grow up to become a chef at the time. And so rename the task. and call them the outcome, because that's what you're doing the task for. I hope this helps you. It's changed my life.
If you want another awesome video in our Black Excellence series, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.